Ayo. Welcome to Benchwarmers, a Woso podcast, episode 49, part 3. We have finished all of the international football of the week. We finished the WAFCON leggy. We are now back to around the grounds for part 3. We're going to start with LEGGY'S NWSL watch.
Yeah, we've missed a couple weeks, so this is
That's all right.
There's a bit of an amalgamation of the last 2 weeks. I want to go through the big game that happened and then just some quick hits. So the big game, you will know, was Washington NC Courage, an incredible 4-3 finish. This game was the third week in a row, and this whole kind of last 2 weeks have been incredible in terms of early goals. We've seen them now. Last year was the 1-0 in the NWSL. Now it is the early goal. Everybody loves an early goal, and this time it was Ashley Sanchez with the fastest goal of the season for the Courage, coming at 1 minute and 27 seconds, and this is her 11th goal of the season. She's had an incredible season for the Courage, a really underrated season given the fact that NC Courage are in no real predicament right now to challenge the top 4, but I'm having a strong feeling that they might make that top 8 and have an interesting Gotham maybe-esque post-season finals campaign, just in terms of this game particularly. I mean, if we look at the quick and the rapidness of their goals, I mean, Evelyn Ijeh then scoring after a VAR review, which took about 10 minutes, but it basically took as long the VAR review as it took for NC Courage to get that second goal, which came in the 9th minute. And then she scored her second in the 15th with an assist from Sanchez. They were 3-0 up in this game, and it took Washington a whole half just to get back in. I mean,
crazy.
It was Kentore,
I don't know how they did this.
It was Rodman. It was Bernal. Like, there was obviously some good goals. It was a great fight back. But Natalie Jacobs at the end, the 95th minute, tapping in for the 4-3 win for NC Courage. I don't know about you, but was surprised with this game. I was surprised by the intensity of both teams. Obviously, Washington are still trying to pressure Gotham up top, but NC Courage came out away from home and put on an absolute show, a game that I did not expect them to have.
I think there's just a hierarchy of respect as well that's come with Kentore and Bernal scoring that goal. I mean, I think it shows it's a mark of champions that they could even get back into this game. It sets the precedent for the rest of the competition that 3-0 isn't a big enough lead to put players like Lacey Santos away, to put players like Trinity Rodman away, who can change a game on basically her own boot. I was slightly disappointed in Claudinha this game. I think the situation got to her. They brought her off for Bernal and Kentore. I mean, you've also been saying Paige Matea has been really good. I feel like Kouassi, when she's back, will assume that right wing position, and I think Kentore will have to play as well, because I just think Kentore is back in form a little bit. I think they thought they could rest her a little bit, and it just didn't happen. Ijeh has been absolutely insane. As I said, we knew that this was going to happen when she came from Milan, that there would be a little step up, but it didn't mean she wasn't capable. Ash Sanchez has got to be in the top 5 for what's going on in terms of MVP candidates. It would be hard to look past players like, I don't know, Temwa Chawinga, Chloe Lacasse, Rodman, but I think if Courage keep bumping up the table, keep putting on performances that are worthy of praise like that and end up in the top 5, I think that's where it'll be difficult. If Utah hold their spot, if Spirit hold their spot, and if Current come back to where they're supposed to be on the table with Temwa back in the side, it'll be hard to look past the 3 players I mentioned behind her, but it doesn't mean she wouldn't be in the NWSL team of the season as well. So there's a lot of awards to win. Obviously, America does awards the most, and they do it the biggest, but this 7-goal thriller will go down as very much a finals-like playoff simulator here that is worthy of respect from both sides, let alone the fact that I would say Washington left a lot to be desired in that 15-minute barrage.
And I think the NWSL will love this because, of course, we recognize NC Courage as being one of the established greats of the NWSL. And I think that
Indeed.
they'd want someone like an Ashley Sanchez and someone like Courage to be back in the mixer. But if we're talking about a team that's really in the mixer, we have to go to Gotham in their double game week against SD and against KC. Two really important games, two important wins against genuine top four contenders, let alone league contenders.
Yeah,
SD
and
Wave
who was smoking both teams in both games. Who's pulled up to form in the best way possible, especially after licking her lips that Moultrie got injured. It's Jaedyn Shaw who knows how to turn up at the end of every single season. The half year turns and Jaedyn Shaw goes, let's all remember, I'm the best 10 in the league. Jesus Christ.
And that was very much so last year. We saw her form drastically pick up when she moved to Gotham. But I'm just enjoying this Midge Purse, Jaedyn Shaw, Sam Kerr. I would like to call it like revitalization tour, if you like a comeback tour, because look, Midge Purse is one of those players that when she's on, and I think that is indicative of the other two players there. Sam Kerr has had a really good month coming back to Gotham, to the NWSL, but when we're talking about close wins, the 1-0 over SD and the 2-1 over KC, it's these big players that are obviously the ones winning you games, and I think mostly I'm slightly disappointed with the rest of the team by not, especially that midfield, by not giving 90-minute full attacking performances like we know Gotham can. But this, as much as Washington coming back 3 goals, not getting the points, is a sign of champions. This is getting those 1-0 scraps, those 2-1 scraps. This is the type of football that I expect Gotham to be playing in terms of, this style of play, but it's very good that they're finally getting these 3 points that they weren't getting at the start of the season, I should add.
Gotham are definitely front-running lines. Like, they are the ones to beat, 100%. This is where you want to be. I do want to mention that the San Diego game, because obviously, you know how much I rate Eidevall as a coach. The guy is just the masterful, king of putting on a show, and then also just bringing in tactics that get the one-up and the advantage, let alone not necessarily having the firepower to be able to compete with them. But I feel like this game, when you're looking at the balance of power, I feel like Amaros got the one-up on he got the one-up on Eidevall. He got the one-up also on Armas at the current game, even though that was more of a comeback style effort. But I do want to mention the San Diego game because obviously of what happened with Vanzanten, right? So Vanzanten was fantastic against Rodman. We spoke about that. And then they did their homework on her and made sure that she had less to do. She had to cut inside. She had to make sure that there was there was a build-up play from Gotham in the center of the park, just outside the 18-yard box, and then give the wingers the ball and allow them to facilitate the chance within 5 seconds. I feel like they didn't allow the wingers to have that much time on the ball unless it was expanding the play, because they knew that Vanzanten's recovery pace was too strong. So what did they do? They found the answer in that 43rd, 44th minute. Jaedyn Shaw on Vanzanten's side. Basically, this is when you win the battle as a manager. You say, you know what? Your right back is probably your best defender. We all think Vanzanten's in top form at the moment, Eidevall, but we're going to score on that side. We're going to actually go for your strength and make it a weakness. And they played the ball over. It was Dudley who started it. She cut in. She inverted. She fed it over to Jaedyn Shaw. Jaedyn Shaw took 3 touches, chopped inside, and then put it in the bottom right corner. And that is what you do. And you know what she did when she scored? She looked straight at Vanzanten and said, come at me. That's the attitude. That's the arrogance that you need if you're going to get over the line against top 4 sides. It's not, oh, we're going to play around you. We're not going to try and even beat you. We're going to try and beat you at what you're best at.
This was an incredibly even game, but particularly Vanzanten, it's a fantastic observation because she went from 12 defensive contributions against Washington to 4 in this game. So this was an active assessment of Vanzanten, what her play is, and how they can manipulate that attacking but also a defensively resolute fullbacks, and Vanzanten being probably the magnus opus of that right now. But I think when we look at the overall stats, if we look at the game as a whole, it was very even. I think that as I said before, Gotham are very lucky, but also as it's a sign of champions for them to get away with it because they both shared 3 shots on target each. It was more shots by Gotham, notably so because Gotham love to shoot from basically everywhere.
Here's my question. Does AKB save Jaedyn Shaw's strike, that strike there, right? So if you swap the keepers, Sandra Panos to AKB, do you think San Diego get a point, share a point in this game? Do you think they win this game? I think that's, like, I would argue from the balance of statistics, you could say yes, right? You could say AKB stops that, and you could say Sandra holds her form because there wasn't, like, I don't think much was testing. I mean, San Diego had a few shots. Gotham had a lot of haymaker shots that were just not going to test the keeper in any way. I feel like Guro probably should have scored in this game. She hit the post really early on in this game. But other than that, I mean, this was also a final simulator. But again, the 1-0 element, we're not going to get 4 threes all the time. We didn't even mention it in the part 1 when we were talking about the part 2 as well, the resolution of teams like Cameroon, the best teams competition in league football can dominate with goals, but then when they go into tournament football, finals are 1-0 at this point. It was refreshing to see a final that was 3-0, but to see the Euros final, the Asia Cup final, the Men's World Cup final just now, they're all 1-0 games basically, or 1-1. Like, there's not a lot of like aggressiveness to this. This was an aggressive game that happened to end 1-0. And I appreciate the fact that, I mean, both defenses were relatively resolute. And I mean, I think that is San Diego's strength at the moment, is that when Byers is not on, they're struggling to score. Godfrey is hard to facilitate for / hard to facilitate with. I think there needs to be a situation where they're working out the best method in which San Diego can score their goals, other than like absolutely packing out teams with their fullbacks, because Maroney and Vanzanten just push up and overwhelm them. But I am excited to see what both of these teams can do in playoffs, because historically they do go far. It's just refreshing. It's just weird to see Gotham at the top of the table, not in 8th, and thinking, oh, we can do it. This is the kind of team that would be 8th, and then say, you know what, we can beat everyone in the playoffs. But now they're just showing that they are the top dogs. I mean, it is just beautiful football as well.
I think they deserve it. I think that it would be disappointing with the amount of signings that they make and the trust in the trust in the 11. There's been very few changes in this starting 11 from the championship side, so it just makes sense that the winners would, you know, come first and are first and are having a spectacular campaign.
And they're resting. I was just going to say, they're also like resting as well. Like you say that there's not a lot of changes, but like each person would comes on in games because she doesn't play every week. Guro Wrighton is playing a lot of football, which I'm surprised by, but I assume closer to the end of the season will get rested a bit because, I mean, it's fair enough. It's a team of relatively 30-plus-year-olds. It's an average age of 28.5. It's not a low number, and Jaedyn Shaw is bringing that number down considerably, but I'm glad that they are doing smart rotations to make sure that they are fit and firing for big games.
I have an incredible quick hit for you, another 7-goal game. This one was incredibly similar to the Washington game, but this one was 4 goals in the first half. I'm talking about Boston versus Portland. Portland away from home scored 4 goals in 37 minutes. So we got Perry in the 2nd minute. We got Sophia Wilson in the 6th minute. Torden scored in the 10th minute. So we got 3 goals in 10 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Insane. Boston looked completely out of their depth. This was quite literally the established, great of Portland in the NWSL versus a development team, a team that's just been incepted. That's not a word. That's just whose inception
incepted.
They've been incepted. Who's just been established. But I wanted to talk about particularly Sophia Wilson in this game. I thought that her form in the last few weeks has been incredibly flip-floppy. She missed basically an open goal, a game that I saw yesterday that we'll talk about next week. She had a poor game. It's just been really interesting to see how she's been able to develop against teams that are stronger than Portland, and there are a couple of teams that are stronger than Portland, and teams that will confront Portland as well. We talked about that defensive insecurity that they have. But Sophia Wilson is a player that, yes, you can rely upon, and yes, can win you games and can score these fantastic goals and get your team 2-0 up in 5 minutes, basically. But at the end of the day, these are not the games that we'll be looking at when we talk about Sophia Wilson's first season back playing regular NWSL football. These are the games that are great for stat padding, but are not great when we look at 27 and how she'll fit into this US Women's National Team mold. And for Boston as a whole, I mean, this was expected. They're having a fine season. I mean, they are 14th. I don't really expect anything worse or anything better for them. It's kind of crazy that they're above two established NWSL teams. But if we look at their counterparts in Denver, they've had a great season and are 10th and are having less of the flip-floppiness that I have been seeing from Boston.
I mean, also just better firepower. I mean, look, to have a player like Lindsay Heaps in your ranks just makes everyone better, namely your midfield as well, the safety of that. But I think for a team like Portland, yeah, I mean, it's a win, but at what cost, you know? Like, this is a message to the rest of the competition saying we are easy to score against. We are still haven't worked on our defensive capabilities. They've conceded, 12 goals in their last 6 matches? Like, they're averaging 2 goals a game copped. It's not fantastic for their goal difference, and it's not fantastic. Like, this was a team that we were saying were easily the best defense at the start of the year, and are now, from the balance of numbers, conceded more goals than Bay FC, who are in 15th, right? Like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. It just shows that players like Torden, Perry, Castellanos, and Wilson are doing their due diligence on the other side to make sure that they're winning games. But yeah, that is something they will need to work on for the finals. And look, I expect them to beat Boston, not 4-3, but 4-1, 4-2.
Yeah.
Like, 4-2 would have been fine, but don't let them get the last laugh. They shouldn't have the goal that makes it nervy in the last 10 minutes, right? This is on Villaham to be able to close out games, make sure that their team can play them off the park. That's the key. You're going to go to the Centerville Bank Stadium in Boston. You want to show that you've commanded the respect, and you didn't. This game comes out as like an honorary 1 point for Legacy, where they go, you know what, next time you don't give us another 5 minutes of that game and we make it 4-4. You know, that's how it should be.
And I think that goes to show that I don't think Portland have the strength to have a good, let alone a successful postseason finals.
And it doesn't help without Moultrie either. Moultrie being out of this, with the ACL, she's going to miss the World Cup as well, which is devastating for pretty much every US Women's National Team player involved. But I mean, even the players that will play instead of her or be in the squad instead of her will recognize that she was promised. She was the queen that was promised, the princess that was promised this World Cup. We've been waiting for her to arrive at a World Cup for now nearly over half a decade. Like, this girl has been touted to be the stalwart of the US Women's National Team in the 10. She's the original, tempo 10. Like, this is the arrogance of a player like, I don't know, like Rapinoe, but then the finesse and control of players around her like Thompson and the powerhouse, the attitude of like a Sam Coffey, like a respected arrogance, which is what we love, right?
She's the Heath region in
many regards. That's actually probably the better way to put it. Obviously, she doesn't come to my mind straight away when I think of the US Women's National Team. No, I'm kidding. But Emma Hayes will have some work to do without her, without the almighty centre half.
Emily Sonnet.
I was about to say Emily Stanway. I was like, that's not her. But yes, Emily Sonnet, no Moultrie. Mate, the pins are falling down in this US Women's National side, and there's not much you can do about it because, I mean, they're I would argue, 2 of your 11. I'm not going to sit here and say that Moultrie wouldn't start. Obviously, you'd have a lot of US Women's National Team fans that say that it's Lavelle. Lavelle has put it on for certain games for Gotham. I don't think she's been the Rose Lavelle level that we expect. Do I think Jaedyn Shaw has been better than her? Yes. Do I think Ashley Sanchez has been better than her this season? Yes, she'll probably be on the wing. But then you have Thompson. You have a lot of firepower to manage. They will try and manage the Moultrie-less team as such. But when you look at a player like Sonnet, it's pretty irreplaceable.
And it doesn't help Emma Hayes that the domestic league is being absolutely capitalized on and being taken over by these incredible Japanese players. And that's where we go to Utah and Bay FC. Again, I have to talk about Bay FC. I cannot believe it. I can't believe that they've had to have an incredible game so much so I have to talk about it. But coming off of the 3-2 that they played against Seattle, they had then made history, incidentally, by participating in the first game where 3 Japanese players scored 3 goals in the game.
Crazy.
Utah, and this is probably my biggest vindication of the NWSL season when we're talking about Utah and the depth and the kind of interesting makeup of this squad. The diversity of this squad is actively lending them to be one of the best teams in the side because they have this absolute, spine, but it's actually more of a flank of Japanese footballers. Moira, Miura, Tanaka, all scoring goals. This game was insane in the first 30 minutes. We had a goal by Bay FC, then a goal by Utah a minute later, and then Utah go 2-1 up, and then 5 minutes later, Bay FC are scoring and equalizing. It took Tanaka a penalty in the 80th minute to get the winner for Utah, but I thought that this was an absolutely incredible game. I had to watch it, which meant that it was an incredible game because it was Bay FC, and that to me sucks. But I mean, I just think it's incredible and a testament to this Utah squad building that they have been able to create such a side that is formidable and doesn't necessarily have to rely on the yankification of a squad the same way that some other teams have been doing.
Like Bay FC, who have only 2 players that aren't American in Aldana Kometi and Sydney Collins, who's Canadian. But I like that they've separated them to the flanks as well. Like it allows them to play together. Obviously, we have Robano and Tiada on the other side who have the ability to play. You have Lucas, who just is given everything, is also in NWSL MVP contention, in NWSL MVP form right now, you would argue, at 33 years of age. We're talking Peniel Harder behavior right now. Clara Bull facilitation, but Peniel Harder mentality of like, 33 is just a number. I'm just going to smoke you all. I'm going to facilitate for you all. Tanaka, 32 years old, smoking everyone too. She is such a good footballer. Won her own penalty, took her own penalty, scored her own penalty. And then obviously you'll never bench again. Miyabi Maria is one to watch. I mean, look, there's your stalwart right back. I mean, Risa Shimizu, I would be getting nervous if I was you. If you don't get enough minutes for City, we might have a new right back for the Japanese national side ahead of the 2027 World Cup.
Yeah, and if we go on to some of these more, interesting predicaments that these players are in, we can talk about Orlando and just the absolute drop off of form from Orlando. Lost 4 in the last 5 games with a full team. And I think that's the conversation that people aren't necessarily having. There aren't any injuries. Barbara Banda is back. And they are struggling. They are truly in a position right now that I haven't seen them. And it reminds me of what happened post 2015-16, where they had that complete skyrocket of players coming in of notoriety. They had the Meg Rapinoe, they had Alex Morgan, they had Marta, who they still have. But they are struggling again, and I don't know whether this is something institutional, systemic, whether this is just a bit of lackadaisical play that I've been seeing in the last 5 weeks where they go down and they just give up, and I don't know what the prognosis is going forward. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how they're going to fix that, and it can't take bringing more players in. They've brought the players in. They've brought pretty elite to world-class players in, and they still are struggling. They're sitting 12th right now, only 3 points ahead of Racing Louisville. Like that in and of itself is a statement I should not be saying, and it is a reality.
Don't diss Emma Sears, all-time top goal scorer for Racing Louisville, I believe. Put that on the resume, Leggy. I'm an all-time top goal scorer for which team? No, it doesn't matter. But Orlando, I mean, look, you say full squad. Marta hasn't played in a while.
Who cares? When Marta plays, they're not as good either. Like,
I agree, but Marta, Banda, Ovaye all together, is a different story, and we aren't at the last 10 games of the season, which is when Orlando usually scoop in. I agree. There is no indication of that happening with Angel City drawing their way to this playoff contention. Seattle Reign, who look a little bit vindicated post that Fishlock last-minute winner, and then Summit. I mean, yeah, they shouldn't be below Summit. They shouldn't be below the Dash. It is a form spike. Yes, they lost to Portland. They're going up against Spirit at Spirit. It's not an easy game. This is the game that you can turn it around, but you don't really see that happening, especially with Kawasi returning for Washington. It will be an interesting game as a whole. I really hope that the Pride get back in, because we both like Orlando Pride, and it's a sadder playoff without Pride, in my opinion, but it's a situation that needs to be solved defensively. It's probably a situation that needs to be solved managerially, with Seb Hines not necessarily providing the security required to put them in playoff contention. I don't know. It looks like a situation where Orlando need to be putting the pressure on. I don't know. Hines has been there a very long time. I don't know if this isn't his most fantastic semblance of form. Probably in the last few seasons, 3 or 4 seasons. I think he's on par. He's actually lost more games in this season so far than any other season in his last 3. So maybe he does start getting the juries out on him, and we see a new managerial taking, but it's hard to say, because I don't know, Orlando's ownership is a little bit more rigid when it comes to management. I mean, it's not like they're going to be bringing people back, or they're going to be asking who they want, and it's not. I mean, look, Mark Skinner is out of a job. If you want to bring back the old early 2020s of Orlando Pride, Mark Skinner is there for the taking. But I mean, there's Tom Samani's always there for the taking.
Do you know who they need? Do you know who they need?
Yeah.
They need Alana Kennedy. They need Alana Kennedy back, obviously, because that's going to help you. That's going to help you. If they bring back Alana Kennedy.
Alana Kennedy goes to Pride, and then Tom Samani comes in to coach Alana Kennedy, and
boom,
you will see
have 20 goals a
you
season.
come 8th. This is why people listen to the Benchwarmers for genius takes like vindication, bringing an Asia Cup MVP to your NWSL side is the way to do it. The only thing I wanted to say was just Trinity Rodman is slowly plateauing her form. She's not getting any better, and they haven't won in 3, which makes me think
She did score.
Yeah, I no, she did score. Yes, she did score against Angel City. But I mean, again, it's Angel. Exactly right. Exactly. The Leggy's vocal inflection there was exactly what I needed in this situation. But yeah, they really need to find a striker, Washington Spirit, because anytime Cantore starts, she plays mid, and then anytime Claudinha starts, she also plays mid, and then they come on and then they play better than their respective counterparts. So they're both clearly super subs, and neither one of them wants to be the starting striker, and I kind of love it for them, because they're clearly doing some Benchwarmers sabo on this front 3. But that was the only thing I wanted to mention. I mean, Angel City need to play. Can we just play our games in hand? That's all I ask. NWSL, let's play some games in hand so I can start looking at a ladder properly, because it's driving me absolutely nuts. No offense. North Carolina
Ali
can
Sentinel
play.
back.
Yes, the
Scoring.
Kansas City current GOAT, that is Ali Sentinel, is back, and I mean will change the course of Angel City season. The 3 draws, they may never lose again. You know, this is the case for Angel City. They should be looking at their next 3 fixtures in Gotham, Courage, and Legacy, and think if they can win these 3 games, then they are in very good contention, because then it also sends the message to the competition that our investment is worthwhile. We're hard to beat, and also they're hard to beat at home. They've always been hard to beat at home. Namely this year, since the Pride game. I mean, they are decent away. I just think that, like, I don't know, I hope that they can build on the form that they are currently showing, putting it up against the best. I mean, they drew with Spirit, they drew with Courage. No reason why they shouldn't be able to get out of Gotham and Courage. So that's all I really have for LEGGY'S NWSL Watch. As we move on to some other quick hits around the grounds, we're going to talk about the UWCL qualifiers. Yes, the Champions League has been on. We are up to round 3 at the moment. We actually have some good games that are coming through, obviously, with the bracketing and how it works. But it was, I mean, it's magnificent, to be honest, when you're looking at some of the playoff games that have come through. I mean, are there any teams you want to point out specifically, Leggy?
I mean, we can talk about Frankfurt, we can talk about Juve, obviously some of the teams that we recognise as being a bit more modern mainstays in the UWCL have also continued their form. But I think in the next month or so, we're getting the Chelseas, we're getting these bigger teams coming through. So that's when important we'll cover those games.
Yes, exactly. Literally in a week's time, we'll have Chelsea and Sociedad, which is, it's beautiful. It's magnificent. I am so Sociedad pilled for this game. Arturo Ruiz, I need you to do something right now. This is going to be magnificent. But, I mean, obviously on the other sides of the realm, we have Real Madrid versus Ajax. Ajax with their new striker, who everyone knows as a toffee legend in Katja Snois. Sherida Spitzer in the middle of midfield, one of the greatest Woso legends. And then obviously Nadine Noordam, who, I mean, is just a freakishly good footballer. She can play in the 6, she can play in centre half, she can play everywhere. Like, this girl is, like, I'm saying, like, Frankie de Jong kind of vibes, but also, like, I don't know, this could be to have her and Renee Van Asten and Vila Berman and Esme Brutes. I mean, these Dutchies are cooking up a defensive storm right now between all these youngsters. It feels like there's a Johan Cruyff Academy I don't know about. But the team we should focus on the most is Frankfurt, obviously beating Ammonia 8-0 a few weeks ago and then beating Malmo last week. Who's been involved in both of those games? Haley Rasso getting an assist against Malmo, getting a goal, the opening goal against Ammonia with an interesting header. I mean, I don't really have Rasso down for many headers in her career, but she is one that can pick one out. She can run onto a ball and get there ahead of their player. But I mean, it's good to see Rasso in a semblance of form before the season starts. I hope this means that she'll get some European football if they beat PSG, which, you know what? They could. They actually could, especially with Larissa Mulhouse, who looks absolutely deadly. Holy crap. In the number 47, she is smoking teams. And, I mean, she was smoking teams for Werder Bremen, so this isn't news by any stretch of the imagination. It's just exciting to see her basically effortlessly transition into this Frankfurt strike force.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, when we look at Frankfurt, we think of the disappointment of last season and not making the Champions League. And I really thought that with a weakened squad, a squad that had been changed, a squad that I don't think has necessarily recuperated their players in terms of what they've lost, I think having Captain Freigang, who's been incredible, having somebody like Rasso come into the fold, it can only lead to what I presume to be a genuine Champions League campaign if they are able to make it to the end. I think losing someone like Geraldine Reuteler and having her not play Champions League football for Frankfurt is very disappointing. But look, she's come to Arsenal; she might win a Champions League. So at the end of the day, what have Frankfurt lost? What have the players that have left Frankfurt gained? And that's where we look to someone like Chiba and we see Juventus and how they had an incredibly tough game, but were able through Chiba to come back 3-1 over someone like Hammarby, who as I would say easily someone who's Champions League worthy.
Yeah, it's actually quite funny that there's a potentiality that if Frankfurt beat PSG and Juve beat St. Pölten, then Chiba already gets her reunion game against Frankfurt. I did want to say that they haven't recuperated, but they've gone for the youngsters, right? So obviously I wanted to mention that Jana Krum is on the bench for Frankfurt, who was absolutely unbelievable in their under 19 Euros. We have Naomi Evelyn in the midfield who's playing instead of Sense now, and that's because, I mean, she had a fantastic Euros with that Pia Sundage team, and Evelyn had little fantastic cameo moments alongside Iman Bene, which is what earned her those moves. But you have a situation where the front front three is Larissa Mulhouse, Laura Frygang, and Hayley Rasso, which looks good for now. I don't know how much football Laura Frygang is going to play this year. I don't know what's happening with that whole situation. We haven't really talked about it between the two of us, or on or off camera. But with the doping scandal, I don't really know what it entails. She's scoring goals. She's in form. I'm glad it took her literally getting caught for her to play proper football. She did score a hat-trick last year when it did not matter, but obviously having Krumbeigel on the flanks would also be a reunion special for Krumbeigel to play against Juventus. I forgot to mention that too. But I do think to myself, is Laura Frygang going to play this year? I don't know how this situation works out. I know Michelle Kang knows, but I don't. And I don't know, it's a situation that will be ongoing and manage itself how it is. I assume if she's found guilty, it will mean that she will not play football this year. Obviously, if the history of players like Mikhailo Mudryk are to be considered, I don't think Frygang will play much football this year. Based on the information that's given to me, I see is relatively like what do you call it? They call it like unconscionable conduct is a minimum of like 6 months no football. Yeah, like that's the minimum sentence when it comes to doping without any knowledge of such. That's the minimum sentence, and then if you do and you plead guilty, it's like 12 to 18 months. It can be 2 years. This could be the end of her career. We don't know, but it is hard situation.
She came out June 4th with a statement stating verbatim that there has been no suspicion of her doping. She recognizes that she missed tests. So at that point, I mean, I hashtag believe women. So to me, this is I think that this is probably her missing testing, and then the status of her potential doping is then unrecognizable. We don't know. We can't recognize whether she has been doping or not doping because she hasn't done the tests. But I don't know. I like to believe that the player has not done doping and thus can continue playing football. But if she's found guilty of, and I understand missing tests is equally as bad as, not equally as bad, but is under the
standard penalty for 3 missed tests, according to WADA, is a 2-year ban. Yeah. So
that's crazy. That's mental.
Yeah, it's insane. And obviously on good behaviour, you can get off in 12 to 18 months. That's what happened in, not to switch sports, but in the AFL with Lockie Whitfield, who missed 3 tests. He got on good behaviour. He got, I believe, a 14
swimming,
months.
Right? Swimming as well in Australia.
Swimmers, it's very much more common. It's much more commonplace to dope in swimming. But I do think that Laura Frygang is pretty pinnacle to anything good about Frankfurt as a whole. So they need to be doing the business, or else we'll be looking at it very, very differently. But I do think that Juve are looking pretty decent. Now with Tony Payne will be back from WAFCON. Alba Redondo looks to have effortlessly slid into this 11. The Isaac Guerrero 3-4-3 is very calcio ball. I didn't expect that. Schatzer starting, Pinto starting, Julia Bartel, we need to not forget about her, who's now set up in this 11, playing in the center, moving to the right. It's a really interesting team that shows a lot of development, shows a lot of capacity to get better. I think they're going to be on for a domestic double. Even if they don't make the Champions League, they'll be looking to fight their way through the Italian league and put Roma on skates a little bit.
I was really interested in this particular lineup and this particular Juventus campaign in these qualifiers. I didn't know how seriously they were going to take it. I think if we saw last year, we saw in particular competitions, Juve just put out a second string, a third string team, and really decided to focus domestically and, of course, on the Champions League. But I was very disappointed in the first 90 minutes of this game. I thought Hammarby really had them on skates in that first half. Redondo obviously coming through in that 40th minute strike. But I thought, particularly against a 5-back system of Hammarby, who are not young. They're both 27 average age squads. Like, this is not a young team. This is just a simply more inexperienced team when it comes to Europe. I was just super disappointed in how Juventus were unable to penetrate this backline of Hammarby. And I personally think, I know that you said the domestic treble. I think that if you can't beat a 5-back as an Italian team in an Italian league that usually consists of 5 backs, I would be a bit concerned. And it took someone like Chiba, someone completely detached from the Italian style of football and really from Juventus, to come in and really change this game.
It will need to be worked on, but that's what comes of having a debut coach, right? Having a coach who's been an assistant everywhere and never really had head role, being able to rotate as well, having Capetta on the bench, having Bonacea on the bench. I think they just underestimated Hammarby a little bit, and they had to do it. I mean, it's not like they won 2-1 in extra time. Like, they went for it, and Chiba got 2 in 10 minutes. So they were definitely showing levels in late on in that game. Yes, they probably played 30 minutes more than they had to, but that's just based on a managerial, in my opinion, managerial immaturity that you learn from games like that. So good to have that. I'm very sad that Leuven knocked out Fenerbahce. Very, very sad. I'm not saying that I don't like Leuven. Leuven were very entertaining in the last Champions League run. It's just not fair that Fenerbahce had to play Leuven without Marie Ngamanga, right? This is dog, man. She would have won. She would have won. She would have beaten these fools. I reckon there's no way. Like, you watched Manga in that final. You're telling me Manga on one end of the side, and then Katie Bowen playing for Fenerbahce right now, Inter Milan legend. Yeah, you're telling me that they wouldn't win this game. It's just what happens. Sadly, I like the European ball. UEFA doesn't have any respect for the CAF. Like, they would never do the qualifiers when the Euros are on. Like, that's the point. Like, it's a UEFA competition. Yeah, so you just basically are. You are not benefited if you are put in these positions with players that aren't European. It's a bit unfair, but the game is the game, and Leuven are through, and Leuven will be putting every chance they have. I think they beat Sosnovec on the other side. I think Wolfsburg v Inter is an interesting game in round 3, just as interesting as Chelsea and Sociedad, because I mean, ultimately it is like second v third. You know what I mean? Like, it is really, really close in that precedent. But I do wonder what I do wonder, like, they're both second. They both finished second in their leagues, right? Wolfsburg finished second. Inter finished second. It will be an exciting game. Do you think Wolfsburg get over the line at home?
I think so. I think the European pedigree will get them over the line. But I also think if we're looking at what Wolfsburg have done in the transfer window, I've been very underwhelmed, and I think that this is probably the first time where I've thought Wolfsburg have gone into a season with a squad that probably doesn't match the expectation of what they're trying to do, and that is not to, have a domestic quadruple, have a quadruple. Like, that's not going to happen, right? But if we're looking at players lost, players that need to be recuperated in that squad, like, you losing Enderman and you have no one to back her up, in my opinion.
In the 10, they lost Bierenstein as well. Yep. Did they hold on to Bierenstein in the end? I don't know what happened.
No, they lost
there,
her. She went to
Real Madrid. Yeah. So they lost Bierenstein. They lost Alex Pop as well.
He's like, Minga going to have to run this whole squad again. Like, that's
well, no. I mean, there is 2 players that we absolutely adore that have gone to VFL.
Okay, I don't think
Mara Albert has come in to be the Enderman replacement. If I'm gonna run defense for the Wolfsburg sporting director, Mara Albert has come in as a replacement for Enderman, but they also have Bussi and Zakai that they clearly trust. Then you have a player like Cecilia Fleur, which I actually love as a signing. And then to replace Janu Levels, who's gone to Real Madrid, they got Lou Boggart, who we absolutely adore from the Arkema. So, like, I do think they've tried to replace. I agree.
I don't see European pedigree in those players.
Yeah, I agree. Running on solely European pedigree, and the last few Svenja Huth isn't necessarily going to win you games. I do think they beat Inter, though. I think we will see Cecilia Fleur run the show. I think Inter are a good side, and they have some good players. They also have a new manager, I believe. So
they're basically there. Alex Pop in.
Exactly. Tessa's not there. Like, it's both 2 sides that would argue should be more ambitious in the transfer market, but couldn't be. And it is what it is. But I reckon Wolfsburg win 3-1. Like, I think it'll be fine for them. I think Frankfurt PSG is a bit more of an interesting game to predict. Maybe a 2. Obviously, these games are 2 legs, so maybe Frankfurt go 2-1 at home, 2-2 at home, and then PSG beat them at their own home ground. I think Juve smack St. Polten. I think that's not even a question with this new manager. I've been very impressed. And then Real Madrid sadly smoke Ajax. I just think that's just a precedent that will be set. And then Sociedad, sadly, they play at the Bridge first, or Boreham Wood. I don't actually know where this game is. Surely it's at the Bridge,
No,
right?
in Chelsea, it's at Boreham Wood.
It's at Wheatsheaf Park, actually. Boreham Wood can't even handle Arturo Ruiz. That's the situation we're in at this precedent. But obviously, that first game is Chelsea's home game, so I do expect Chelsea to go 2-3-1 against Sociedad, and then maybe hold off a 1-0 win or a 1-0 loss to Sociedad in the second leg. It will be closer than we think. It just won't be. I mean, I would be very impressed if Sociedad beat them in England. Jesus Christ, that would be generational Arturo Ruiz glaze coming your way for episode 51. But that is all we have for the UWCL quali quick hits. We are going to go straight into our contracts, extensions, rumours, and retirements. I mean, Leggy, there isn't much. There really isn't much that isn't just trauma for me, basically. They're all City related, some Melbourne, some Manchester, but we will start with the 2 Melbourne City signings. Courtney Vine, actually, this segment. This is Courtney Vine time, ladies and gentlemen. Courtney Vine, Leggy. You've got 6 seconds to talk about it. No, I'm kidding. That's just the old school.
That's all I need.
That's all you need. That's all you needed, right? Fine. Matilda's. Should I bring up the email that I got that said Matilda's hero Courtney Vine has signed for City, and Melina Ayres, invincible winner, has signed for City. I mean, Jesus, the holy resume, holy PR glaze. Even the Benchwarmers could never. Like we've said, like we love certain players so much, but even we couldn't do it like that. But I mean, what do you think of this as an attempt to foster some semblance of recuperation for the exodus that has happened this postseason?
This will not fulfill the exodus or the expectation of City coming off the back of a tremendous campaign and having shone a spotlight on such great players for them to now move on and go to Europe. I think, though, for Courtney Vine, and this might be shocking to some listeners, I think that this is exceptional for Courtney Vine. Truly
she's going to be fine.
Exceptional.
Yeah, she's going to be fine. We know she's good in the dub.
I don't think that this will get her a spot in the Matilda squad. I don't think that this will get her any credits towards another cap for the Matildas anytime soon. But I do think for Courtney Vine, and this is a purely human perspective I'm taking here, obviously all the headlines and the spotlight on this player coming off the back of a campaign and off the back of a moment that was so unexpected and she obviously was not prepared for mentally, saw that her big move obviously was a failure. If we can put it bluntly, it was a failure to go to the NWSL at the time she did. I 100% blame the FA, the people behind the scenes who should be creating the foundations for the mental health stability of this player. But she had a great campaign coming off the back of 23 domestically for Sydney. I expect her to have, and you can take the City perspective on this, an equally fantastic campaign domestically. I don't expect anything much of her. I expect her to do what she did when she was back in Australia 2 years ago and to continue the form that is well known in the W League circles.
Yeah. I mean, Briley Henry is gone. Alexia Apostolakis is gone. Holly McNamara is gone. Holly McNamara, if you're Melina Ayres, you should be thinking, I want to slot in. Maybe we don't play the same way, but if I get the same amount of chances, I will score half of them, and then I can score, 10 to 15 goals. If I'm Courtney Vine, I would be looking at 10 to 15 goal contributions as a whole, which you easily did for a Sydney side that I think was worse, regardless of the fact that we have an exodus right now. I think there is a capability for these two to link up together, play well together, alongside Aideen Keane, alongside Danella Buttress. This is the time to reset. We're not going for I don't think we're going to retain a double. I barely think we're going for the league in the sense of how many we've lost. But these are two players who are going to try, that want to win silverware, that want to win trophies, that we're going to try. I think if we get top 3, top 4, it would be a fantastic success
I think
based
that
on the
you're
fact that, like,
undermarking yourself. There is no other team in the W League that has exceeded expectations in the transfer market, that have done these exceptional things to put them ahead of you. I mean, take away the players that you've lost. The foundation of your football, the style of your
oh,
football
no,
is
no, I
so
agree. Yeah, but
exceptional, it beats any
sometimes
team.
I understand that. I just think football structure and style only gets you so far, in the extent of that without McNamara, how much better are we than the rest of our opposition? Let's be real, that when Holly Mack was injured, we weren't that far ahead of everyone else. We were, but we weren't that far. And then you take away the little pawns, right? The little bishops and the rooks and the knights, and the queen is gone, and all you've got left is look, Otto and Stott, that back two that has saved us for nearly 2, 3, 4 seasons. Now Otto is gone, right? So it's just Stott, and we need another centre half to jump into that position. It's going to be a lot of different structures, a lot of different systems that aren't the same as what have led us to the establishment of being like 3-4 time league champions in the last, I don't know, 4 to 5 years, right? It's a very impressive rate. We're going to go for it. Obviously, I just think there is a pseudo expectation on the fact of not having like stalwart, like dub level, like first class quality dub players to be able to get us over the line. I don't know if our academy will be able to hold us up that way, the same way it usually did. Obviously, Buttress, I expect to have a bit more time on the pitch and break out even more and be the player that I expect her to be. But we will obviously find out, the same way I expect Poppy Pritch to probably be the WSL 2 top goal scorer now that she's moved to Leicester. Yes, another player City have decided is not good enough to warrant minutes. I kind of get this one more than the Murphy one. I get this one more than the Lazelle one, because she is would I rather Poppy Pritch up front or Mary Fowler up front right now? Probably Mary, from the sense of like experience, control, structure, the way we play. Poppy Pritch needs to be playing, getting minutes, scoring goals week in, week out, and I think she will do that in the WSL. And if Leicester are to be promoted again, she deserves to be playing WSL first team football. So I respect the hustle from her. She signed till 2029. It's a great move for her. I haven't seen many. I mean, we mentioned Mara Albert before for VFL, who's gone from Chelsea. It's a great move for her too. There's not many other extensions and rumours because the window is closing. Leggy, is there one more signing you'd want to see happen or make? Is there a desperation signing? Is there just something you want to see for vibes? Just put it out into the universe and see if it manifests itself.
Interesting. I don't know. I kind of, it's hard. I kind of want the NWSL to poach a big European player. I think that they've done it before, but I think you talked about Washington earlier in the podcast, a big striker. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if someone puts Ramirez on the table, seeing that she was so heavily linked to Real Madrid earlier in this transfer window. I just
she
don't
doesn't
think
get
that her
minutes
spot,
for Chelsea, especially with
yeah,
the
I just don't
Mallard
think
signing.
her spot is secure at Chelsea at the moment.
Well, I mean,
also
I haven't
probably
seen her in any PR or anything ever. So does
She was
Mara
in
Ramirez
Australia.
even?
She was
Does
in
she even?
Australia.
But okay, so she does exist. That's good to
Yes.
know.
She was
I
playing.
didn't-
She played in Australia.
she did play. She played.
Yeah.
She's played more minutes in Australia than in England.
Yeah, we all did a double take. It was like, oh my God, Mara Ramirez is here. I'm like,
Oh
what?
my God, Jesus Christ. Oh my God, it's a footballer that beat City once and then decided to never play again. She's good. She could go. I mean, if I'm going to get my Engar Manga tick again, I'm going to say she could go. She could go to the NWSL. She's very NWSL coded striker. Obviously not the same way, but I don't see anyone in Italy. Maybe Lukta. Maybe Rome Lukta, NWSL. Could you see that in the sense of the link away from PSG's needing them $1 million fee? I don't know. That could easily manifest itself with Kanjinga and Eto and all the youngsters coming through. Echegini at PSG. Who knows? But that is all we have for a shorter contracts, extensions, rumours and retirements as we move to the Benchwarmers Awards. Leggy, kick us off with your Clara Sarah Geordie's Never Bench Again.
Yeah, mine's Romina Chiba. I could have put her as my super sub because she scored incredibly important goals. But if we're looking at that left side for Juve, I just don't see anybody else filling in what is a big Romina Chiba shaped hole that she could easily fill in, and that we saw in the UWCL qualifiers.
Yeah, it would have been a good super sub of the week. I should have popped that in, but never bench again. My Clara Sarah Geordie's never bench again is obviously all WAFCON edition. We're going Michaeli Bahina and Maeva Niadju, the centre back goalkeeper partnership. Look, this is the best goalkeeping tournament performance since AKB at the Euros. I'm not even joking. It could arguably be better. Name another goalie who has 4 penalty saves in a tournament, plus conceding 1 goal that is only a penalty. I mean, Bunu could never for Morocco. Like, there is no comparison to the tournament she had. And Niadju, I mean, a 19-year-old centre-half, scored the winning penalty, scored the free kick against Nigeria, assisted the second goal in the final. I mean, it's a dream run. It's an unbelievable moment for both of them. Niadju's 19, Bahina's 24. They will never be benched again for the indomitable Lionesses. So who do you have as your Nerea Ezagere super sub of the week?
Yeah, this one is NWSL edition with a bit of WAFCON in there. We have a WAFCON player in Priscilla Chalufa, as well as her Angel City. Yeah, and as well as her Angel City counterpart in Evelyn Shaw's. Evelyn Shaw's got the assist to Chalufa to get the leveler against Seattle for Angel City.
Oh, Priska's so good. She was so good in the WAFCON too. Good near post finishes as well. My super sub of the week is Ines Kiri, the Algerian Lauren James. Lauren James. She scored that ridiculous goal. In the quarterfinal, I believe. And that was against, I forgot who it was against. Was it Cote d'Ivoire? I believe it was a super sub moment for her. I think it was in the quarterfinal. It was Algeria versus Cote d'Ivoire. Cote d'Ivoire obviously went up early, and then it was Kiri who got them back in the game with the second with the first goal. And then yes, it was a fantastic finish from very far out. She cut inside, whipped it into the roof of the net. It was a fantastic strike. It was worthy of super sub of the week. Our come on the pod, our football federations come on the pod. I have put down DAZN need to buy the Liga F Mova rights. I mean, they haven't bought anything as much as I love. I mean, they need to buy it because I don't want to pay to watch the Liga F, and I like watching it for free in Australia. But I think it's the local broadcasters.
I actually found it. It's the international broadcaster.
It's the international. So just do it. Just buy it all. They can't handle. I think they just can't handle Lexi leaving and Pina just terrorizing people. I think they can't handle Pina's new FC ratings, which everyone is fuming about, saying she's too good. I'm like, mate, watch her. She's actually, no, to be fair, 91 pace is crazy for Claudia Pina. I don't think she's that quick. But
Claudia Pina 91
she should have she has 91 pace, which is insane. But she only has 87 shot. She should have like 96
That's like
shot.
should be switched.
Exactly. Just switch them around. Like, it makes no sense. But that is EA. When have they ever made sense? But come on the pod, DAZN, any broadcaster. Let me watch my Barcelona. Let me learn my Catalan in peace with the unbelievable commentary there's going to be so much going on in the Liga F this season, especially the new look Barcelona post Lexi with some new signings as well. I mean, no Lexi, no Mappy, there's a lot going on there in that midfield. Also, no Clara Sarah Geordie for a little bit of it as well. I forgot to mention there is an injury to her wrist.
And the picture that Barcelona used, I don't know if you saw, but her wrist looked mangled up just in the picture that they used. I was like, well, that's not going to help, especially if your wrist looks limp and dead. Like, what? Like, that was just like a random training photo. Like, oh, what are you doing with that wrist?
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's a situation manifesting. It's a big out to have for the start of the season. I mean, obviously, like, it's not a great precedent for them, but they'll manage. They have Sydney Schertenlieb, they have Kika, they have Vicky. Obviously, we will talk about Vicky Lopez in a little bit, but what do you have for your football federations come on the pod?
Yeah, my New Year's resolution of 9 months ago was to be less of a hater, but I have to hate on this. This is the Sydney Crowds at the Chelsea Friendly versus Dub All-Stars 22,000 is not bad, but you wouldn't guess it by how silent they were. We
Oh, the
talked about
audio
it
was poor.
ourselves. We
Yeah.
were like, where are the chants? Where's the energy? Obviously, there was none because it's in Sydney. And of course, half the crowd was probably Arsenal fans. Anyway, from what I saw, a lot of Arsenal fans got McCabe signatures on their jersey. Look, I'm no one to yuck anybody's yum when it comes to fandom, but that is a bit weird. I'm not going to lie. I think that Katie McCabe, she tried to sever as many ties as possible, but she keeps getting reeled in. And why? Because we're the biggest club in the world. So
These
of course
two,
we're going to be
they
in
played
line.
well. Like I don't want to actually give light to this because they did play well, but the reality is that friendlies stink, and I want the A-League All-Stars to dissipate as a concept. I don't like it. I have never liked it. I didn't like it when they played Arsenal. I don't like it now. They don't play as each other. They play individually. Shout out to Angela Beard for megging Lauren James, but that was the only highlight of the game. I even think when the Chelsea players scored, whether it be Potter, Baltimore or Nuskin, all of them barely celebrated, let alone weren't even happy at all that they were even there. Sonia wanted to go home.
Sonia looks
sad.
so pissed.
Yeah,
like,
oh my
she looks
God.
so upset.
It's just embarrassing. Like I was waiting for Sonia to whip out her phone and say, see this right here? Like this is
the
boring.
Domestic treble. Like this is
Yeah, Warra my trophy for coming down under, I guess. The down under Dior. But it's just, oh my God, it's so tragic. Even the preseason games with Barca and City as well. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure people were happy to see Vicky Lopez and all the Barcelona players live in the flesh in Manchester, but preseason games are so jarring. They're not trying, they're not tackling. I'm watching Sam Coffey stand in front of people and try and block shots. Sam Coffey doesn't do that. Sam Coffey absolutely terrorizes you and injures you and like bullies you off the ball so that you stick one on them, and it just didn't happen, obviously, because, as I said, it's preseason. But, I mean, it was 2-2. Who cares? There was just, a lot of preseason rubbish going on. Real Madrid are good in preseason. I mean, I get it, why people watch it. They want to see their team. But it is just fitness exercises. It is just patterns of play. To be fair, I mean, I guess it's good minutes for Vicky Lopez now that Sarah Geordie is out with her injury. It will mean that Vicky Lopez can come into the 10, where she might not play on the wing if Caro and Pina are to be mainstay stalwart starters on the flanks for Barcelona. I think that's not even a question at this point. I think Kika will come in and out. She'll do but yeah, Clara Sarah Geordie, it's the styloid process of the right radius. Basically her wrist is broken, guys. Yes, but love when they use the Latin for our own benefit. But that is all we have for the Benchwarmers Awards today, and that means we can move to our final segment of the show, the What Would Kang Do 49, 7th rendition of the KANGMUNIST Manifesto. We got to make it topical. The last moments of talking about the WAFCON for a long time, unless there's African qualifiers and playoffs, which we will talk about as we get to them. But it is WAFCON edition. KANGMUNIST Manifesto, 7 KANGMUNIST leaders, 7 countries, 7 quotes. You know the drill. We're going to start off with the champions. We're going to start off with Malawi, 1950s and 60s, the Union of Populations of Cameroon, the UPC, had Woso ideologies, but scholars say that they focused on unity and immediate independence rather than communist Michel-Leninism, right? Lenin Marxism. Yeah, Michel-Leno Marxism, as they call it. But shout out to Ruben M. Niobe and Felix Roland Mumi, the 2 most prominent leaders that were assassinated by Textar French forces, obviously. But we've managed to find some KANGMUNIST quotes in Cameroon, in Kangmaroon, should I say. But it is a Woso project is determined to fight for its freedom, and club independence is invincible. Not Arsenal but invincible, which is a quote by Ruben Michel Niobe. future also, there's future KANGMUNIST coming through. I can see Bahina, Niaju, Eto, and more. They've got a good academy. There's no reason why any of them couldn't end up in Spirit, LCL, or Lyon. Or maybe if Kang is proven to have a club in their continent, maybe she decides to go to the champions themselves and go to Cameroon. And that's the business that they are after in this realm. But we are going to move to the runners-up. Malawi. There is a cruel history of Kangmunism in this country that is not, there's not much there, right? They dealt with anti-Kangmunist leadership like Prime Minister Hastings, Kamazu Banda, Atati Mafakati ran the Socialist League of Malawi, which got abbreviated to Lesoma, or should I say Genie Lesoma, who is an ultimate Kangmunist, if you ask me. But if I may amend one of Mafakangti's quotes, it is a waste of time spending the country's resources trying to stop my movement. The people are going to oppose you whether I, Young Mafakangti, live or die. Democracy, justice, and rights are on the agenda for the future of Woso. I mean, tell me now that these countries didn't know what was up. They knew what Kang was doing long before I did. But we are going to move to third place on the list. It is Algeria. Algeria originated, had Kangmunism. I apologize. Sorry, that was a Freudian slip. But had Kangmunism in the 1920s, like many French colonial countries. The 1920s Kangmunism is basically equivalent to 2020's Woso. It's basically prime Barkangs, as they call it. The ACP to the Europeans in Algeria are basically the Algerian Communist Party. They're basically loanees. That's the way they fell into the French system. A genuine future for European ballers in or from Algeria lies not in the denial of the rights of the talent inside our local leagues, but in a free, democratic Woso structure rid of club owner exploitation, which is a quote from 1957 by the Algeria Communist Party. So they knew that they would end up making the French leagues. They knew that the Arkema is a foundational platform for Algerian Kangmunists to slide in. So if you see Marine Darfour make a move from Bristol to LCL/Lyon/Spirit, we all know why. It's the ACP. They're all over it. But we're going to go into fourth place. Morocco, basically like Cameroon, Kangmunist parties began under that French colonial rule. Again, Lyon have their myths. They're like Kang saying, "Oh, we need a country, we need a club in every continent," as if there isn't French colonial rule. Napoleon Kang Young Bonaparte. We're talking about a full-on reason why Kang wants to own Lyon outright and then get started with the French club colonialism. But it was the Moroccan Kangmunist Party, the biggest figure in their team, Leon Sultan, or should I say Olympic Leon Sultan. I mean, obviously the right solution there. His main quote, "The masks have fallen. Let's open up the revolutionary path. ... for Woso to be the biggest game in the world of Morocco." I mean, it makes sense. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Leon Sultan, Olympic Leon Sultan, will be remembered forever. The same way that our fifth quote, I mean, we're up to what? What is this now? We're working backwards. Constitution number 47 here. We're talking about Ivory Coast, the PCRCI, the Revolutionary Communist Party of Ivory Coast, Parti Communiste Révolutionnaire de Côte d'Ivoire, founded in 1990. Shout out to Akisi. People make the revolution. Kang makes a movement. All about the mass working class action paired with a billionaire owner who drives historical and political change. South Africa, I mean, this is 48, Constitution number 48. In South Africa, we have a lot to talk about. So many from the South African Communist Party, whether it be Chris Manny, Chris Money, Kang Money, that's who it is, Moses Kotane, Bram Fisher, or Govan Mbeki. but it has to be the best of them all, Joe Slovo. Some may seek revenge, but this is not our policy. We just buy the best and keep the rest and win it all. That's the Kang way. Joe Slovo redacted to Jane Woslovo. Am I right? Geez, we're having fun here, but it is Constitution number 49, Ghana. We had to mention Kwame Nkrumah was the anti-colonial nationalist and conscientism African socialist under the Convention People's Party, suppressed opposition and controlled media and labor unions, which turned into a one-party state. I mean, that sounds, one party state sounds like one club owner, in my opinion. It's kind of the same thing. I am not a Woso fan because I was born inside of Woso, but because my business and healthcare background that assists Woso was born in me. I mean, obviously redacted in a way, Michelle Kwangke, as we call her, Kwangmei. But I apologize to Nigeria. They did not make the cut. As Kang would call a choke, a moment in time, not a movement in time. I mean, that's what they saw. They saw the AFCON as an opportunity to have another moment, not create a new movement. And that's what means that Nigeria miss out in the KANGMUNIST Manifesto WAFCON edition. I apologize to you all. We will be back in 7, but that is all we have for What Would Kang Do? And that is all we have for the podcast this week. We are on Spotify and YouTube for full audio, full visual podcasts, obviously uploading our WAFCON preview. You guys loved that on those 2 platforms. We are on TikTok for all our short form edits and magic. I mean, please keep supporting us on TikTok. Obviously, we are posting there nearly every day, but we are putting up the content there with some fun edits and some good takes, some hot takes. If you want to see our absolutely horrendous take on the WAFCON final that we got completely wrong, it's all there. We're going to be having some really fun takes in the next few weeks as well when it comes to preseason takes and hot takes. You're going to see Leggy and I absolutely ranting at each other at our stupid hot takes that we're going to keep secret from each other as well, because she doesn't know what I think is going to happen to Arsenal this year. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. But it's because we love doing this. This is why we love doing this. We always have agendas on the table because, I mean, this is Woso, and we love Woso. We love all the narratives. We love all the vibes. We cover all the tournaments. We cover every blade of grass because we don't just cover every second of Woso. We don't just cover every minute or every hour or every day. We cover every week.
Every week?
Every week? Every week. Thank you all so much for listening. Keep warming the benches. Shout out to the WAFCON one last time for not just putting on a great show, but giving us a great Kang to nearly wrap up. Next week will be episode 50. Episode 50. I can't believe we've hit the half century. Do we raise the bat? Do we go for a bicycle kick, like a Tabitha bicycle kick mid-pod? I don't know what's going on there, but we will find out. Thank you all so much for listening. Keep warming the benches and have a great week.